Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so I'm just recounting like an experience. Things were hard for me. Not too far from today, but like maybe like some months ago, some weeks ago, a few weeks ago. And so now in that moment where those moments where everything just follows, like bad things just follow each other. Like first this, now this, and you're just there like, God, now what? What is the meaning of this? And so like I was going through a really tough season. Like bad things just kept on like following each other back to back. This happens and this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens. And it was overwhelming for me. And at some point I started seeing, when you're struggling, when you're going through something, sometimes your vision gets blurred in that you start seeing things from a certain perspective because you're broken, because you are in pain. So I started seeing things from a wrong perspective. I started seeing my life from a wrong perspective. And in that moment, like before I could even go deep thinking like that, I told myself to stop. And one thing I did, I asked God to help me see things properly so that I do not miss the blessing that He has for me. Because most times, blessings are hidden in some type. Okay, I don't know if it's everyone, but according to my life experience, sometimes like the tough situations, the things that just look like it's the end, like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And it's from those situations that God always comes through for me and does something really big. But then the thing is that if I don't endure in that dark season, then I don't get to see the light at the end. If I ever give up in the middle, then I don't get to see the light at the end. So in that moment, I just had to remind myself, to ask God to help me see things properly. Because if I don't see things properly, if you're going through stuff and your life is a certain way and you don't see things properly, you're going to miss it. You're going to see things from a certain angle, like only the angle of pain, and you're going to miss the whole picture. You're going to miss what is after, what is beyond that pain, what is beyond that struggle. And so I just wanted to encourage somebody that whenever you're going through stuff, whenever you see yourself, because it's just normal human nature, like for the mind to start seeing things from a certain perspective, from a place of pain, from a place of brokenness, there's a certain vision that one has. Just came to remind somebody to be careful, to ask God, just pause on your perspective and everything and ask God to help you see things properly. Because when God clears my vision, when God helps me see things properly, because let's give an example of, for example, David. David was, he was looking after sheep. Well, his brothers were probably doing big stuff, or at least bigger stuff, if not big stuff, but like sheep. He had to tend the sheep. I think like every day. And just imagine if he was seeing it like that, like, no, my brothers are this and that and that, and then I have to tend sheep. My life is just something wrong with my life. Like, I'm tending sheep when other people are doing other stuff, when my brothers are doing big stuff, I'm tending sheep. Imagine if you saw it like that. When you see things like that, what happens? Your attitude, your heart posture changes even as you're taking care of sheep. And when your heart posture is wrong, we know God, He only comes through when your heart posture gets right. And also, I can give an example of Joseph. Imagine if he was, in that state where he was thrown under the pit, where he was sold as a prisoner. Just imagine how he was feeling. His brothers were free, and he was a prisoner. He was sold as a prisoner. He was sold as a slave. In that moment, just imagine if he was seeing things just from that perspective of my brothers are okay, they're living in my dad's house, chilling, and they're at peace, and I'm here in Egypt as a slave. Imagine if he saw that from that perspective. Also imagine if David saw his life from the perspective of just sheep. What do you think would have happened, like if they just saw it like that and now had developed an attitude and a lifestyle of, because of what they were thinking about, they developed a certain laid back lifestyle of, my life is pity partying and stuff, like self-pity, my life is just messed up. Like, everybody's doing this, I'm doing this. What do you think would have happened? I don't think they'd have gotten to that place of honor. I don't think they would have gotten to that place of honor. So when I analyze the situations and how David and Joseph in the situations of trial, how they were given grace by God, of course, grace only comes from God, to see things properly, even in the midst of trial. And because seeing this properly doesn't always mean you're jumping and you're excited. Yeah, I'm going through tribulation. It just means knowing that there's a purpose for every pain, and knowing that God is on the throne. Because as long as he's on the throne, then it's not the end of your story, right? I think that's what it means to see things properly. It doesn't really mean you have to be excited that you're going through the fire. Of course, it's not normal to be. And so, yeah, they were given grace by God to see things properly in that situation. Joseph as a prisoner, as a slave, and David as a sheep boy, if that's a word, shepherd. So given grace by God to see things properly so that they could endure and just have the correct heart posture even as they were doing those menial tasks. And them going through that stage where they were doing menial tasks still more didn't override the fact that they had great destinies ahead of them. Joseph was to be prime minister, second position for prime minister, I think. And Joseph's second position for prime minister, and David belonged to the throne, right? So just imagine if they didn't see things properly, if their perspective was blurred, like, oh, my life is just messed up. Like, everyone's doing this and that, and I'm here taking care of sheep. My brother's in my father's house living comfortably, and I'm here as a slave. Just imagine if they saw things from that perspective and just moved in that perspective. I don't think it would have gotten to the place of honor. So this is just a reminder for everyone, including myself. When you're going through a season of tribulation or a place in life where you feel like it's not where you're supposed to be, for us to remember to have our heart posture correct and to see things properly. Because if you don't see things properly, you're going to mishandle your season of difficulty, your season of tribulation, your season where you are like kind of like a nobody. You mishandle it, and when you mishandle that season, it can prevent you from actually getting to the higher position that you're supposed to go after the season of tribulation. So like David, like Joseph, let's maintain good heart posture, let's see things properly, and let's, in whichever position we are right now, let's serve God right there, and he will lift us up in his own time. Let's maintain good heart posture, let's see things properly, because if we don't see things properly, we're going to do things that will hinder us from getting to the next level where God wants to take us. So let's see things properly, let's just see things properly, let's submit to God and to his will, and just wait on God and do what we gotta do, of course. Have a blessed week.